I'm having a good time, not. Wayne?
Trendsetter, whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center, hit it dead center.
Hooty
All right.
hoo.
Copware. What was that song? God, we were in high
It
school.
was Bones, Thugs, and Harmony, and then that was Outcast. The song was literally called Hootie Hoo.
Right, but then there was one about the cops. I feel like it was the 69 boys or something, or
I mean, I feel like there's
Tootsie Roll Boys.
a lot of cop songs, including Ice T and
Yeah.
NWA.
Well, and
Uh,
then of course the original Cops theme song was hugely popular back then.
of course, you can't forget the Bad Boys, Bad Boys.
Yeah. Still have no idea who sings that song, by the way.
No, no, that'll be
Couldn't even
trivia
tell.
for next episode.
Couldn't even tell you. Well, Mr. Bentley, we are back for episode 22. We are in the postseason now, and things have gotten interesting to say the least.
A lot of upsets, north, south, east, west, central. A lot of good teams falling by the wayside. Couple controversial calls against Mr. Augie Lonis. I'll let you talk about that. I saw the replay and was disgusted. Despite our love for limestone as well, I thought it was a little bit pansy-ish. But you know what? That's baseball, and umpires are very human.
Yeah, hang on. Let me pull. Let me see if I can do this while I'm talking to you. I saw that, and to be honest, like it's so arbitrary these days with stuff like that you
Yeah.
just don't like. To give you a perfect example, yesterday, um, at the IBC Eureka game, Tanner Wiegand is trying to score. Ground ball to third. Wiegand breaks for home. Keegan Scholl, the IBC third baseman, fields it perfectly, throws it home, and I don't. I, it happened so fast. Normally you're like, should that have been a slide? Should that have been, was it blocking the plate? It all came together so quick. But then what ticked everybody off was when they stayed together on the ground, it looked like a football scrum, and that was because it looked like Wiegand had his hands like on the mitt of IBC catcher Brendan Coventry trying to rip the ball out as they
Oh
kind of
my
flopped
God.
over onto the ground. And a lot of
Alex
people,
Rodriguez.
yeah, a lot of people thought Wiegand should be uh, tossed. Whether it was he should have slid or did he slide enough, or the fact that it allowed runners to move up
Yeah.
while he was trying to hold on to the ball. So it was an interesting day, and that's not. I want to be very clear. I'm not accusing Tanner Wiegand of cheating or anything. He's a heck of a ball player, and you know as well as I do that sometimes you can run a little hot with the.
Yes. Playoffs, man.
Yeah,
High
absolutely.
tension.
You're trying to win. Um, trying to win. Good lord, I can't type while I'm doing this.
My thought, and I'm not a pro, but I did 3 years umpiring, eighth grade, freshman year, sophomore year, summer. And for I think Coach Gallo ran the Richwoods Little League back then. Shout out Ralph Gallo, sophomore basketball coach. But he would say this. First of all, there was no playoffs for house league, so I didn't have to deal
Yeah,
with that tension. But here's what he would say: when you're umpiring these games by yourself, and you will be because no one else is coming,
yeah,
there's a play at second. Take your mask off and run as fast as you can towards that play and try to get a good look. That way, the parents, sure, they're going to yell at you because they're crazy. But if you're at least in a decent position, you made an effort to get close to the play and you
right.
made the call, they're probably not going to lay into you for very long. And he was right. And I always tried to do that. Now, in high school, you've got two playoffs. These guys should be on the money. My thought on the
Well,
Augie Loins was I would err on the side of not tossing somebody in a
yeah,
playoff game. If it's close, if it's
Yeah,
a vague, ambiguous situation. If it's blatant, kick him out. But I didn't think it was
yeah,
blatant.
yeah. And so let's show everybody what we're talking about here. Let me share the screen for a minute. Solid Grateful Dead shirt, by the way, dude.
There you go.
Let's see here. Where do I share my screen? There we go. Let's see. So this is the play in question. This is from the East Peoria Regional. East Peoria's Augie Lonis at the plate. Going to drive a double to left. And the ball, the left fielder, heck of a play by the left fielder, but Lonis gets tossed for this slide right here. And he gets Ben Subert, the limestone. I don't know if Ben was at shortstop or second base at that point. But Augie gets ejected for that play. So let's see it one more time here. So again, heck of a play by the limestone left fielder. Great throw, great relay. And there's a couple problems there. One, Augie slides late. Now, if you know Augie Lonis, number one, he's a great kid, but if you've watched him play at all, Augie slides late. He knows he's a big dude, and he knows that despite the fact you have to slide earlier on turf, being built like a freaking brick shit house like he is. Oh, we still there? Did I lose it? You got me?
I got you. Yeah.
Okay, good. He's built like a
He's a
freaking bull
rhino
moose.
for
Yeah.
sure.
And so he always slides late just to, so the turf doesn't slow him down, I guess.
To announce his presence with authority.
Well, he's a smart enough kid to where he knows, like, he knows when he's gonna have to slide. But there's not a malicious bone in Augie's body as far as dirty play like that. I think that was a huge misstep on behalf of the umpire. And I'll tell you something else I've noticed with the umpiring. I really think we need to talk about getting rid of three-man crews in the playoffs, because I can't tell you how many umpires in those three-man crews, especially the field umpires. Obviously, the home plate umpires' duties don't change much, but the field umpires, they had very little clue on the rotation, and it's because for 12 or 11 months out of the year, they're working in two-man crews. Sometimes they're working one-man crews in the summer. So we're introducing this whole new style of umpiring that lets people get out of position. We saw it in the regional. We saw it again in the sectional. I saw an umpire in the sectional playing basically shortstop depth, like almost behind second base. Like he was in the baseline, almost even with the shortstop. Like it was crazy. So we need to talk about getting rid of that. I realize it's a good intention behind it, but man, it was brutal, and
it can become too many cooks in the kitchen.
Correct.
And like you said, when you're used to two-man crews for 95% of the year, just let them roll. Look, I'm pretty sure freshman, sophomore year, we had several games. Of course, this is in the ancient times of 93, 94, but we had games where the second ump didn't show up. Whatever, let's play.
Yeah.
You can roll a playoff game with two-man crew. You can do it.
Absolutely. And it worked out fine for however many years prior to that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I'm sure it's part of it is insurance, I guess, or a buffer, an extra buffer between parents and the crowd. That way, if you got three, the anger is spread out a little bit more. But that's it's just one of those things. I think it creates more problems than it solves.
Yep.
So
agree.
But anyway, yeah, that's my take on umpiring there. What else you got, Mr. Bentley? It's been a little bit.
Yeah, let's go back and forth, because you've been to games down in the Central and I've been north of the Wall. I spent most of my time this last couple weeks in the Willowbrook Villa Park sectional, starting at the Batavia Regional with South Elgin versus Glen Bard North. South Elgin was a 4 seed. They had a good year. They play outstanding defense all the way through. Um, Glenbard North was a 14th seed. Not great. I think I heard from the crowd that one of their best pitchers had TJ. But this was a close game I went to. It was 0-0 in the fourth when South Elgin center fielder Connor Lunn laid down a great sacrifice bunt. And because he runs about a 6'6", he decided he'd just go ahead and beat out the throw for a base hit and then go ahead and steal second because the runner at second had advanced, I think, on a pass ball or something. But um, Connor Lund in this game was a game wrecker. He reminded me of Kyle Zeebel for Harvest Christian. And look,
Yeah.
these comparisons are wild, but I'm going to say it. If you've ever seen Ellie De La Cruz for Cincinnati just wreck a game with his legs, that's what Connor Lund did in this game. And I also have to give love to Zachariah Barco, who pitched for South Elgin and was just, um, man, the control of the off-speed stuff. You just don't see a lot of that kind of pinpoint accuracy
Yeah.
with the changeup and the curveball he had going. He was sitting about 80 to 83. And then as the game wound on, he slowed down a little bit with the four seamer, but he managed the run game of Glenbard North better than any than any starting pitcher I've seen all year. He picked a kid off. He kept a kid really close to where his catcher ended up throwing him out at second. He threw strikes. I think he had 2 walks, but 6 2/3, only 3 hits, 6 Ks. Again, the pickoff was huge. He was so poised with runners on base. And boy, I hope he gets a chance to play at the next level, and he should, because he's going to make a pitching coach and a coach in college very happy with his ability to manage those runners. So South Elgin, they win that game, and then they knock off St. Charles North against Keaton Rinke, who's ranked number 8 in his class. The North Stars go down 4-3 to South Elgin. Um, uh, South Elgin will go on to face Bartlett, one of their rivals. So he'll meet Josh Kalezi and Vince Yario. Bartlett's the 8th seed in that sectional. I got to believe the winner of the Bartlett South Elgin game was likely to face Josh Fleming and the York Dukes, who's the 2nd seed there.
Yeah. And of course, if you're dealing with Josh Fleming, you got to deal with that bat. And that is not easy to do with that young man because he
Just a
can.
couple, yeah, he's a player. Just a couple totals for season stats on some of the dudes. Connor Lund, he made in that game, by the way, he made 2 ridiculous Jim Edmonds style catches in center field. One was right up against the wall that he honestly made look easy, and he beat the ball there. Another one was in the gap that most center fielders are not going to get, and a run would have scored. Connor hit 457 this year, stole 26 bags, 43 hits. And then the other guy I want to talk about season stats wise was the pitcher, right-hander Barco. 64 Ks in 58 innings, 7 wins this year, only allowed 15 stolen bases while he was on the bump. 16 walks in those 58 innings, 1.43 ERA. Uh, Pretty fantastic numbers for a guy who looked like he pitches like Greg Maddux. He was not going to blow you away with 90. He was just going to pinpoint every one of his pitches where he wanted, and he did a great job in that game and all season.
Nice. Very nice. Absolutely. Well, I want to talk a little bit about the Eureka Hornets, and I specifically want to talk about one young man, Keegan McLaughlin. Um, I want to show you this play because this kid's a sophomore. Uh, he's a uh, started most of his games as a freshman, but this kid, I'll show you the play first, and then I'll show you and then we'll talk about what he said. Hang on just a second here.
I read your article. I already know what you're about to get to. That kid can play. He can flat out ball.
Yes, he can. Hang on just a second here. Come on. There we go. All right. So this is from, yeah, there we go. This is from the semifinal on Wednesday. And pardon me, I had to find the NFHS website is not great when it comes to finding highlights. Also, side note with this clip, shout out to Kevin Newhoff. I just realized I'm still in your account from when I was pulling clips of Brooks. But anyway, fly out to center here. You see Ben Lapp, the Illinois Central College recruit, going back to get it. They pan out here. Both runners tag. Watch McLaughlin there at third. Moves up to cut off the runner, or to cut off the throw rather, on his own and get the kid at second for the inning double play. I mean, that's a 2-1 game right there. And there's two things I want to talk about with this game. Number one is Keegan McLaughlin. After he had several big moments in that game. He made that play. He came on in relief and threw up zeros for 2 2/3. Made another great defensive play while he was pitching, backing up the catcher, fielding a bunt. The kid was just all over the field. You're right. He's an absolute animal. The first thing he said, I said, "How do you feel when you make a play like that?" And it was like I was talking to the second coming of Patrick Swayze as Bodie in Point Break. He said, "One thing I love about sports is the adrenaline rush." He said, I will guarantee there is no adrenaline rush like making plays like that. There's no better feeling in the world, and I can guarantee that." And I was just like, whoa. Like, all I'm hearing my ears is Swayze going, "It's adrenaline. Some people shoot for it, other people stab a vein for it. All you got to do is jump."
Outstanding movie, by the way.
Outstanding movie.
And let's not forget Gary Busey's possibly
Yeah.
best supporting actor.
Utah, give me 2.
Faux pas that the Academy didn't give him.
Also, we need to make Blue Flame Punk an insult again. Bring that back.
By the way, Point Break soundtrack, strong to quite strong.
100%.
Some under the radar Jimi Hendrix stuff on there.
Yep.
Really good stuff.
Yeah. Axe Bold as Love, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that you are correct. Underrated, cheesy Keanu Reeves 90s film. Catherine Bigelow. I think Catherine Bigelow directed that.
Yes, wife of James Cameron, right after their divorce.
Wife of James Cameron, who went on to do Hurt Locker and win the Academy Award for that.
Yep.
But that'll be for another podcast that we'll do on movies and music of the 80s, 90s. But yeah, Eureka, boy, they that play you showed is just pure baseball IQ. And
they showed that all week, by the way. Eureka and IBC are two of the best defensive teams I have seen ever. Like, they just, man, you had to earn everything against them. It was insane.
It's unfortunate somebody had to win, because I would love to see them play each other one more bracket further down the road. But that's the way things go. Also,
shout out to the crowd on Wednesday night. We were well into the 4 digits in Chillicothe. That is what small school baseball was all about. I mean, just packed down the lines. Bleachers were packed. It was crazy.
What do you rank the Ghost Yard, IVC's home field, and the Central Illinois ballparks that you have been to? Because I like that. It's up there, man.
Yeah, it's way up there. It might be like, there are certain things, like if you allowed me to make like a Frankenstein ballpark, like I would take like Morton's press box, but playing surface wise, dugouts wise, IBC hands down.
Plus the name, the Ghost Yard.
Yeah,
pretty
well, that is, but I think we could do better. Like, why aren't we going with like
the Graveyard?
Well, no, like Jerry Rashid Stadium at Zach McAllister Field or something.
Okay, yeah, we could give some homage.
So I'm tired of all these nameless high school baseball fields not being properly named after people that built those programs to what they were. Need more folks. Need more fields like Mike McDonald Field in Morton and Brian Wisher Field in Washington. Um, but that's here nor there. But yeah, it's a great facility. Jerry Rashid had a vision, when he took over at IVC, and a lot of that vision still stands with the brick backstop and the chair back seats and the bleachers and whatnot. Um, Hopefully, the next time around they'll update the chair backs because those are looking a little worn. But man, that turf is nice and it plays, and that's a I mean, just to give you an idea, they were literally at the same time that they were hosting the sectional title game, they were hosting a soccer super sectional on the turf field next door, at the dedicated soccer field that's turfed. So IBC has done a real nice job. Um, I would also advocate for Eastside Center, although I'm still angry at Eastside Center for getting rid of the in-ground dugouts when they redid Dave Rogers Field there. That broke my heart because those dugouts were iconic. But here nor there. Um, so yeah, let's go back to you. What else you got up north of the wall there, boss?
I stayed in that same spot, that same sectional, the Willowbrook Villa Park sectional, and saw Glenbard East versus Wheaton North. I've talked about Nick Pisciata for Wheaton North many a time on this podcast. While his team fell 5-4 to the Glenbard East Rams, of course, Nick threw in 3 hits, including a triple, did everything he could. Wheaton North was the 11 seed, Glenbard East 6 seed. Glenbard East wins 5-4 there. I wanted to highlight Josh Zemer, the Upstate 8 Conference Player of the Year. He's a junior, third baseman, but he's played a little bit of outfield as well. He's a utility type guy. In that game, he goes 2 for 3 with 2 doubles, a run, and an RBI. I've seen this kid play 3 times. He's been the best hitter on the field in all 3 games I've watched. I saw Glenn Bardise play Wabanzi Valley, and I can't remember what the third game was, but this kid can rake. And when I mean rake, his end of the season numbers are 540 batting average. His on base percentage is well over 600, 14 doubles, 45 hits, 39 runs, 2 bombs, and 25 walks. He will not chase out of the zone. Also in that game, Lucas Calderon came in relief, and he's a nice two-way for the Rams, and ended up getting the win there because Carter Hoovel walked the game off in the 8th inning with a double. Um, cool game, very exciting. It's nice when you go to these games and it is extra innings, but it only goes one extra inning for those of us who, have places to be and children to pick up from school and things like that. But man, Josh Zemer is a baller, and he got some well-deserved recognition this week, getting named the Conference Player of the Year in the Upstate 8.
Nice, nice. I want to stay down here in Central Illinois. Finally got a look at Sherrard's Aiden Taronez, or Taronez, I guess. If I'm butchering that, Aiden, I apologize. Um, this kid, left-handed pitcher, committed to UIC. Hadn't seen much of him. I just didn't see Sherrard play last year, and didn't get a chance to catch him in the summer. I know that's about the time. I think he committed to UIC in like September, maybe August. But man, it was good. 87 89 from the left side, wipeout slider. And the 2 runs he gave up against Eureka were both scored on wild pitches. He did everything he could to win that game for Sherrard. But man, that was an impressive performance by the UIC commit. It really was. He's going to be a load in the Valley for sure.
I've heard prep baseball talk about him. He's a real nice player from what I've seen and read. Um, yeah, the Valley, boy, it's so different from when you and I were younger in Creighton and Wichita State.
Yeah,
we're running things
yeah,
basically, but it's still very, very competitive.
yeah, yeah. Well, and then they cycled in Dallas Baptist.
Yep.
Missouri State got good. Just a crazy, crazy conference. Absolutely. What else you got, boss?
All right, so I got to highlight a huge upset in the same Willowbrook Regional. Number 8 seed Bartlett takes one from the number 1 seed Willowbrook 26-9 ball club 8-1. Not a close game, particularly.
No.
And that was not a close game, mostly because Vince Yario threw a one-hitter complete game with 8 Ks. He is a baller. I also wanted to highlight him for making all conference in the Upstate 8. Really good two-way player that probably gets a little overshadowed by his teammate Josh Kalezi, who is faster than a speeding bullet. But Yario deserves some love, and also in that game particularly, that Willowbrook game, Alex Behune, the backstop for Bartlett, he goes 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs. He's an Elgin Community College commit, and he provided all the offense that the Hawks needed to take that upset. Of course, Kalezi, he does what he does: 2 for 4, 2 runs and an RBI, and I'm sure he wowed on the base paths. But that is a huge upset for a Bartlett team that I would say, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but they're top heavy. They're young.
Hmm.
Kalezi and Yario are both juniors. Behune, I think, is probably your senior captain and biggest leader on that squad, and a very good player. But they also have some freshmen coming up, and I could see them next year. Look, they're already moving on in the playoffs, but their overall record wasn't super great this year. But hey, they're still in it, and they're going to match up against South Elgin. It's going to be a great game.
Nice. Yeah, looking forward to that. Speaking of dominant performances, I'll share one with you and then throw it back to you, and then I'll finish up with the Dunlap Eagles. But uh, wanted to shout out Washington, a couple of guys in particular. Carter Prina from Washington in the semifinal, facing a Metamora team that handed the Panthers their only loss in Mid Illini Conference play this year. Prina goes 3-hit shutout on 81 pitches, strikes out 7, and walks 1, while also doubling and driving in a run as the cleanup hitter in a 6-0 win. Come back for the title game against Geneseo, who upset Morton, and you get the most recent Illinois Central College commit, Gavin Lawrence, as he goes complete game, scatters 6-hit, and K's 13. And once again, Prina homers, gets a double from Eli Rodell, who's having a heck of a year. As the sometimes he plays short when Lawrence pitches, has seen a little bit of time at all the spots as the Panthers have been a little banged up. Also, a shout out to Tyler Humphrey, the catcher. Both young men really praised Tyler Humphrey there. So the Panthers moving on. That's their 15th regional title in program history. They were the undisputed Mid Illini Conference champions for the 4th time in 5 years. So they're going to move on and take on. Shoot, I forget what the pairings are at Metamora Sectional. I think they get Joliet Catholic, if I remember right.
That sounds right
Yes.
from my recollection.
Yes, Washington versus Joliet Catholic on Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. So that ought to be a heck of a ball game. Obviously, the Hilltoppers are no joke, and this is basically this. Well, it's the same sectional from a year ago, just with the different pairings. A year ago, it was Washington versus Morris and Dunlap versus JCA, and now we get the inverse. So should be good there. But shout out to those kids from Washington; they did a great job and have really overachieved this year in a lot of people's eyes.
I'm going to put you on the spot, Diggs, because you may
Yeah,
have insider information. Is Gavin Lawrence, going to be a two-way for the Cougars?
he is absolutely, yeah.
I would hope so. He's a nice
Yeah,
player all around.
he's a nice player. It was kind of cemented when my boss with the Cincinnati Reds, Andy Stack, was up there, saw the Panthers play at Morris. They actually beat Morris earlier in the year, and they were there checking on Jack Wheeler,
Yep.
the uh, Illinois commit, and they were really impressed with what they saw out of both Micah McCoy and Gavin Lawrence. So, yeah, where the plan is to let him hit, find a spot on the infield while also taking care of his arm and making sure he's not too overused. But yeah, I think he'll do both.
Really good player. Really good player. Shall I move down now to the New Lenox Lincoln Way West sectional? I did not attend this game, but I followed it very closely. Um, Andrew High Thunderbolts versus Lincoln Way Central regional final. Ridiculous pitchers duel. Not a single earned run occurred in this game. Lincoln Way Central wins 1-0. Andrew had Caden Kendall on the bump, junior right-handed pitcher. He gives up no runs, scatters a few hits. On the other side, Luke Mensick, the Xavier commit from Lincoln Way Central, gives up one hit the whole day, and it's to the other half of the Super Kendall brothers, Nolan, the catcher leading off, got a hit off of Mensick. Mensick was filthy. And, Caden stayed right there with them. And sometimes you have unearned runs, a lot more in high school, and it's tough, but this was just a battle. Now, Lincoln Way Central will move on and have to face Mr. Jack Bauer and Lincoln Way East. So good luck there. But that sectional semifinal on the other end also has a upset from Stag. Stag upset Connor Essenberg and Lincoln Way West, and they'll move on to play Providence. So that final four there, Lincoln Way East versus Central, and then Stag versus Providence. That New Lenox sectional there has got some D1 talent and some really good ball clubs. And those soft suburbs always have.
Oh, the South suburbs are always just freaking loaded. There's a reason for the last golly. I mean, it used to be an annual rite of passage was the Harvey Foster's Plainfield Suburban Baseball Tournament, and it was literally they would take a team out of Southern Illinois, led by still uh, Edwardsville skipper Tim Funkhauser, Harrisburg legend Jay Thompson. So you get those two guys put the best players together. Bob Schlemmer, myself, Chris Hawkins, um, over at Normal West would take care of the Central Illinois guys, and we would roll up there, and it was 3 games, uh, in 2 days, and it was just the Catholic League, the uh, Southwest Suburban, all these
Yep.
different. I mean, it was just kill or be killed. Just so much talent up there.
A cool thing about Luke Mensick, who, PBR's got ranked 16th, and he probably should be. He's going to join his brother. His older brother Landon's a freshman at Xavier, so he's
Yep.
going to go bunk with him. And we talked about Xavier earlier in this season of our show. They are poaching some ballers from the Illinois area and doing a good job with their recruiting here in this state.
Nice. Very nice. I want to take a minute and talk about my alma mater, the Dunlap Eagles, who got some really, really nice pitching performances this week. Start with Illinois Wesleyan recruit. You and I have obviously been pretty high on Owen Schisler from the start. I'm pretty sure at some point, Illinois Wesleyan coach Mike Keller is going to get his hands cut off for stealing because this kid is the deal.
He's the
Uh,
deal, and one of my favorite guests we've had on
oh,
the
yeah. Great
show.
kid.
So respectful, polite, complimentary of his teammates. I agree. This dude, his talent is not quite limited to D3. And I've seen a lot
Yeah.
of players that their talent, in my opinion, novice opinion, is limited to D3. Owen Schisler is not.
Yeah. By the way, that was him sending your alma mater home 2-1.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And you know what? Shout out to Patrick Hogan and the whole Richwood squad, especially those seniors, Kilgore and I can't remember all of them.
Rush, Waller,
Yeah,
Gilbert.
Jarrett Quinn threw a dime piece in that game
Yep.
against Schisler. What a matchup that was. Jarrett Quinn has a huge, bright future with it, with no ceiling, in my opinion. What a game that was, and nice season for the Knights.
And here's the thing about that one, and I talked to Patrick. Obviously, you and I know Patrick pretty well.
Yep.
Uh, Talking to Patrick, he was kind of pissed he had to play in to the semi. I mean, that's a 20-win team playing in, and it's not like
Yeah,
they.
I
I
thought
mean,
that
that's
was
out
a
of the Big
little.
12.
Yeah. I, I guess all you can do is take the schedule they give you,
Yeah,
but I agree with his thoughts on that.
yeah, it was weird. Uh, so that wasn't the only great pitching performance. Fast forward to yesterday, and Michigan State recruit Davis Weeks just says, "Hey, I got it from here, guys," and he gives up a whopping 2 hits and strikes out 17 with zeros across the board the rest of the way. So stick with me here for a second. The Eagles scored a total of 3 runs in their 2 wins in the regional. Uh, they gave up just 3 hits total in the regional. They walked one batter in the regional.
And none
And
of their players strike out. We've talked about
yeah,
that before.
of the 42 outs they recorded as a team, literally 2/3 of them, 28, were recorded by strikeout.
They
I mean,
are a sound ball club.
yes.
Fundamentally, the talent is there. Is if Davis Weeks isn't, along with RJ Duncan, talked about at least in the discussion of player of the year, you
Oh,
know,
I think Davis might have it.
I mean, it is quite something to see two guys really stand out. And let's not forget our guy Cash Van Houten. But boy, Davis Weeks, what a season. Just unreal. And I would pray and hope and I am confident that Mr. Stone, Coach Stone for Dunlap, has submitted Mr. Weeks' performance to PBR for Pitcher of the Week consideration, because you throw a one-hit 17K game in second or third round of the playoffs, you better get it, because I've been watching and nobody had a better outing last week than he did in the playoffs.
Yeah. Hang on. I want to show this to you real quick. This is hilarious. So the winning run in that
It was the
uh
freshman Ryder
the
Renette.
freshman Ryder Renette, and I was going back through some stuff here, and uh I was cleaning up the ICC Cougar Twitter account at the request of Bear Kelly, and I knew, I mean, I knew who Ryder was when he came in, just because he came in with such fanfare. But then uh, Bear reminded me that he had been coming to ICC baseball camps since he was like 8, and we went back and found the picture of little 8-year-old
Let's
Ryder Renette.
Yeah, let's embarrass him.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Oh, we're totally going to. I just got to find it.
While you're bringing that
Um,
up, let me give a quick summation of some of his highlights.
yeah,
My favorite stat of his is he struck out 7 times as a freshman on varsity in 112 plate appearances. That is insane. 31
yeah.
hits, 33 runs, 14 steals. A true freshman, no red shirting. He's a true freshman.
Here you go. So here he is. Let me share the screen again. I apologize if this is annoying, folks, but this is my podcast, so you'll listen to what I want to
Deal
say.
with it.
Let's see, sir. One more outburst like that, and I will strangle you with my microphone cord. Let's see. Come on, work with me, dear. There he is, 8-year-old
Oh,
Ryder Renette.
solid. Ryder, you're gonna be tagged when we tweet this episode, and
Yes.
we may have to tag your
And
dad if he has a Twitter account as
by
well.
the way, this kid was 8 years old and dropping bombs on the softball field from second base. Like, just I think he hit like 10 or 12 bombs that day on what the shortened field. I don't know what it was dimensions wise, but it was a pretty good poke. But
I
yeah, there
gotta
he is.
he's right now, he's without question a four-tool player. I think he's still growing. For one, he's a freshman.
Oh
For
yeah,
two,
100%.
I went to college with his mom. I think she's 5'10", and his dad's a Peoria Riverman Hall of Famer. I
Yep.
think he's 6 foot or taller. He's probably still growing, which means even if he's not in the weight room, he's going to get the grown man strength. It's going to come naturally. Next season, I will predict right now over under 3.5 homers. I'm
Ooh,
going there. I'm
wow.
gonna go there. It's a little bit. It's a little high, but
I think you're low.
his bat to ball is so good. 7 Ks and over
Yeah,
100 plate appearances,
as a
and
freshman.
you're 15 years old.
Yeah, yeah, that's the kicker right there. That is the kicker. Uh, anyway, didn't get a chance. Wanted to finish up on Davis Weeks there, but man, just an outstanding performance. Davis's numbers, by the way, since we're talking about these, this kid probably ought to be in consideration for the Gatorade Player of the Year here in Illinois. I know he might not get it, obviously. Appenzeller and all those dudes have
Essenberg, yeah, the two-way guys come to mind. Joe
yeah,
Sherrado of
but
Edwardsville.
I mean so here are his numbers. He is 51 for 102 for an even 500 batting average, 11 doubles, 3 triples, 2 home runs, 31 RBIs, 43 runs scored. Has walked 19 times, struck out just 15 times, and he's also stolen 33 bags. That's just on the offensive side. Then we
And
move over
so
to the
many
pitching.
steals. So
Yeah.
many steals, dude.
Then we go to the pitching side, where he has 52.1 innings. He's 6-3 with a 1.74 ERA and 94 Ks to 16 walks.
Almost got 100 Ks. Unreal.
And if they get to a sectional title game, I would imagine he'll get over 100. But man, that kid, just a dominant year from him. Just man, shout out to Davis Weeks. That's a killer. So, what else you got, Mr. Bentley?
I just wanted to highlight three guys that I have seen throughout the year, a couple of them multiple times, but haven't specifically mentioned them, given them enough love that they deserve. So I just wanted to mention them, and they all made all conference. I did mention Dylan McCabe previously, but very briefly. So St. Charles, first baseman, Dylan McCabe, honorable mention all conference, Duquesne conference. Very athletic first baseman, could easily play the outfield, fast, like sleeper fast, great left-handed hitter. I am biased. He is an Athletes HQ guy in the summer, but I don't care. I like this guy for St. Charles East. So shout out to you, Dylan. A guy I only mentioned earlier in this episode, Vince Yario, right-handed pitcher, third baseman out of Bartlett, first team all conference, upstate 8. And then finally, Johnny Andretich, center fielder for Plainfield North, first team all conference, Southwest Prairie. I got to see him 2 weeks ago when Will Burke pitched, and Johnny Baseball can play. He's not super tall, but it doesn't matter. He's got strength, bat to ball skills, super fast, ridiculous arm from the outfield. He gets on base. He's a problem for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And Andredich has been, yeah, he's just one of those guys. He kind of reminds me of, I can't remember if I've told you this story or not, but there's a book called The Boys Who Would Be Cubs, and it's written about the Peoria Chiefs, our hometown Chiefs. And it was like, I want to say like the 84, 85 season, like not terribly far off from Maddox being in town here.
Okay.
And it talks about a center fielder from in the Cubs system that they had just drafted. It talks about his scouting report, and all the guy had. This is one of my all-time favorite scouting reports. All it said was gets on base and starts shit. Like that was it.
Yeah. There's guys like that. Connor Lund, who I talked about earlier from South Elgin, Kyle Zeeble from Harvest Christian, Johnny Baseball from Plainfield North. They're fun to watch because they're
Yeah,
Ellie De La Cruz. They wreck the game and they annoy pitchers. And boy, if you have one of those pesky kind of guys on your team, they're going to help you win ball games maybe you shouldn't have.
yeah. Well, and it's from a pitcher, it's bad enough that they're capable of taking a yard, but then if they get
Yes.
on base, you got to sit there and worry about, hey, if I make a mistake here, they're going to be in scoring position, or even worse, if I'm too worried about you, I'm going to leave one over the heart of the plate, and that ball's going to get drilled to frickin' Iowa.
Yep.
So, all right, the uh, two things I wanted to close with here, unless you got more,
I got nothing
buddy.
else, Diggs. You got the
So
flow.
I wanted to share two photos I saw. One that I took, and then uh, one that was shared. Um, oh, there's good old Ryder. Let me get back to Red Hat there hugging Totopolis coach Justin Fleener. And you might go, well, that makes sense. The towns are like 7 miles apart. They both have outstanding athletic traditions. No, that's a Tony Cricky played for Justin Fleener. So imagine losing a one-run game in a sectional title game to your former coach, like part of the tradition that you helped build. I just thought that was a huge moment yesterday, and shout out to Tyler Repking, the former T-Town great, for highlighting that. That's pretty awesome. And then I wanted to share this photo as well. And this photo,
Wayne, I'm in Delaware.
totally fine. Not. I'm gonna wonder if that completely aping.
Like you were right at the point where you were going to show the second picture, and then it just went to me, and I was like I just went into Garth mode. I'm like, Wayne,
Let me try this again. Let me try this
or
again.
that other scene when he the camera's following Garth, and Garth goes, "What's that?"
By the way, that podcast, that Rewatchables podcast, that
So good.
oh my God, did you
I
listen to the
listened
Wayne's World
to it
one?
the day Yates texted or you texted and said it's so good. I was like, well, what the heck am I waiting for? And I just logged on.
Oh, if you haven't heard it, folks, go to the Rewatchables. It's a compendium of all your favorite 80s and 90s movies, and they great facts, weird scenes, and all the background scoop on it, who hated who.
And
But
just a
anyway,
little teaser to hook you. Dr. Evil, the character, was stolen by Mike Myers. He stole it from Garth Dana Carvey.
indeed.
Dana Carvey was doing a imitation of Lorne Michaels, the creator of SNL, and it was Dr. Evil. Michael Myers stole it, and they didn't talk for 20 years. Listen to the podcast; it's outstanding. Go ahead, Diggs.
But anyway, at the end of the IBC Eureka game yesterday, uh, I was looking around for my best friend Kevin Yates. Obviously, his son Cole is my nephew, godson, whatever you want to call him. And Kevin's Aunt Carol said they're on the field, and I thought that meant like Cole was over shaking hands with some of the Eureka kids he knew or something like that. And no, they were just sitting out at shortstop. And I asked Kevin, and obviously this is a shout out to all you guys who unfortunately have seen your high school careers end this week. But I asked Kevin, I said, "What'd you tell the boy when you went out there and sat down?" And he said, I told him, you can't start a new chapter without finishing the first one. And I thought that was a pretty cool thing to say to your kid on the way out. I just thought that photo, said a lot. That's every dad who's thrown, whether you're talking about wiffle ball pitches starting when they're 2 years old, or BP, or paid for the lessons, drove to the tournaments, paid for the gym memberships, whatever you did, that's just a great photo, kind of summing up, what this means not only for players but also for parents. And so, uh, shout out to all the parents who have done so much for their kids. And man, just kind of tells you, it's not just about winning and losing. It's about life lessons for sure.
It's the final scene of Field of Dreams, is what it is.
Yeah.
It's Casey Huss talked about it when he was on. You
Yep.
asked him what was your favorite memory in baseball, and he said, um, being around baseball with my kids. And he said there were so many he couldn't even think which one was his favorite, but it was his kids playing and him being there coaching or being at a ball game with them.
Yeah.
So it's the parental bonding, father son bonding, maybe a little bit more. I don't know, but
You got 9 years, buddy.
yeah,
9 years.
trying to savor it, trying to
Prepare
savor it.
yourself.
Yep.
All right, folks. Well, that's all we've got for this week. Thrilled you could join us. Uh, Keep an eye out. We're going to be moving into summer mode here. We're going to start that with some recruiting tips from fellow parents, some technology tips also from fellow parents, and talk a little bit about some of the various levels and what you see at those levels. So we'll be trying to get you guys go from there. All right.
Sounds good. And I will be in Peoria for a couple baseball related events in the next 3 weeks, including over at K's. And I'll probably come down for the McDonald's game as well, which I think is June 17th.
Fun fact: McDonald's game no longer the McDonald's game.
I kind of noticed. I'm like, where's the arches? Where's the
Yeah,
arches? Damn
they
it.
the folks that so the folks that sponsored that, they're based out of Roanoke, and they decided that they didn't want to lend the McDonald's name anymore to the game. Which, totally up
Yeah.
to them. They've done great works, and there's been a ton of money raised for Ronald McDonald's house and charities and all that good stuff. So kudos to them. It's a sad to see it go. I am approaching this from a standpoint of we have a chance to finally remake this game. I've been pretty outspoken the last couple of years about how I see it kind of being bloated. This is no. This will offend somebody, but if you've got three all stars, three of the best players in the area on your team, you shouldn't win. You should probably win more than that. So, uh, it is what it is, but hopefully we can keep it alive by doing it better. So we'll see.
All right.
Bentley, well, we will be in touch, my friend.
Sounds good, Diggs. Signing off. Friend of years, friend of tears.
Nice.